A few notes from Module 2. I want to first tell you not to stress about the Reflections notebook. There is a document under Important Course Information that has all of them listed. They're also listed in each module. And it'll say attach to the right-hand side, so you're attaching the explicit instruction. That would be the notes that you give to the students. On the left-hand side is where you respond and you construct your own meaning of what you are learning on the right-hand side. Okay, so this week for the 5 areas of reading, you will either watch a video or you will read an article and you will make notes on the left-hand side. However you make notes, okay? You might be drawing some pictures, you might be bulleting, some of you might be writing sentences. You determine how you're constructing your own meaning, okay? And remember, we kind of are combining the behaviorist approach of explicit instruction with the constructivist approach on the left-hand side where you make that, make meaning on your own. I want you to know that what we're doing this week with phonemic awareness and phonics, I know you're probably thinking, I'm a middle or high school teacher. Why are we doing this? Well, what is important is that, one, it's a reading competency, so we have to cover it. But two, you need to understand what happens to students that get lost, that do not have either the appropriate instruction in reading when they're young, or who are moved around from school to school and miss big blocks of instruction. Well, what happens in reading is what Stanovich calls the Matthew effect. So you have students back here who start school. Some of them have already had their parents teach them the letters, have already taught them how lines go in a book, where the front of the book is, the back of the book, concept of word, concept of print. Some of them might even be reading. Then you have some students that maybe are not in a print-rich environment. They have not been read to. They do not know the alphabet. So those students are already behind the other students. And what tends to happen is that if they don't get caught up, then there's what is called the Matthew effect that occurs. That gap between what these students know widens. And as these students are moving forward, they already know how to read and decode, and they're moving on to reading comprehension skills, really getting into the depth of that. You still have that student way back there at the starting line that does not have all the skills needed to decode or read text, okay? So we're covering this, and I'm giving you an option of watching the videos or reading the articles and making notes, okay? You have 2 entries for Module 2. One of them is taking the Venn diagram with the definition of reading. It's interactive. Okay, you have an interactive process between reader, text, and context. You have a visual there with your Venn diagram. And I want you to think about what gets in the way of reading. For instance, with students, you might have some that are poverty-ridden. Not having breakfast could be something getting in the way. With the context, you might have an environment where the student does not feel comfortable. That's getting in the way. With the text, maybe the font is too small, or the text is too difficult. It's too difficult of a reading level. Okay, so I want you to brainstorm other items for that Venn diagram to demonstrate things that you think can get in the way of the reader, the text, context, to prevent those 3 things to come together and for the student to read successfully. I hope you have a great week.